Hello everybody, my name is Michael and today is a interesting video. How Volvo saved my life. Yes, I actually think this one is serious. I had a Volvo S60, a 2007 that was totaled. The airbags went off. Here's a picture, if I can find multiple pictures of that incident. So we hit a BMW, the BMW hit a RAV4. It wasn't anything major in my opinion. We were going 45, 50 kilometers an hour, maybe a little bit more. Yeah, maybe like 80 kilometers an hour. I don't know, something like that. Minimum, probably 50 kilometers an hour when impacts, because there was braking and whatnot. So we totaled an S80. There was a lot that went into it. We were uninjured, obviously. Our car was still drivable because the engine shut off. It's a safety feature. You don't want fuel leaking out. So immediately blinkers went on, the airbags went off. It was me sitting in the passenger seat, my wife driving. It was a rainy day. She recently got her driver's license. I didn't have my wallet because actually my wallet was found months later. Most likely someone actually tried to rob me because it was found at a local dump. A local dump from where it was probably stolen because I was traveling at that time. It was in the south of Poland. And we were in Warsaw, which is central Poland, much more north. It was hundreds of kilometers away, and it was found at a dump and mailed to me, moldy, and there was my driver's license. So most likely someone took my wallet, and they were searching for cash, and then just threw it in the trash. So there went all my cards. And that was very strange because I don't remember specifically losing it. Anyways, I didn't want to drive without my driver's license, so I asked my wife to drive. And just recently, that was when we took it for a trip to Ukraine and all throughout the south of Poland and whatnot. And I put on a lot of miles. I've been driving aggressively, very hard, as in, before when I purchased the vehicle the year prior, I was constantly going on the Autobahn. I was going at high speeds. The S80, the only problem with some Volvos is that they're too powerful for their brakes, and the brakes heat up really quick in the rotors and they get warped, and that was that. So I needed to do the brakes, and I literally had it all scheduled for the next day. That's it. It was all scheduled for the next day. Brakes would have been done. And the car was totaled. By insurance standards in Poland, you could have a lot going on. So we survived. Everything was fine. And you're probably wondering, well, Volvo saved my life there. Yes, maybe if I was driving a Nissan or something, maybe things would have, maybe we could have been injured. Well, in comes the big one. This Saturday, I totaled my 2015 S60, most likely totaled. We're waiting for an insurance claims adjuster. I want to keep the car. If possible, I want to keep the car. I want to rebuild it. It's emotional, sentimental value. It means a lot to me. I think it honestly saved my life because I hit a curb in a 45 mile an hour zone, at least going 50 mile an hour because I didn't brake. I actually accelerated. I accelerated to hit the curb because I swerved to avoid hitting a car. And my rear bumper hit the other gentleman's car. It was a 17-year-old who was driving that car. They were turning. I was overtaking a different car in a place where you can overtake. Down that road, it was one way and then another way. So, two-way, different directions. And it was literally like 200, 300 feet, whatever you can pass. That was a spot. I know it in the back of my brain. I can overtake there. There's a slower car. I'm overtaking, and then I didn't foresee someone turning. That was the only bad part of that about that street is you can turn either left or right. If you're turning right, not a problem. But if you're turning left, in this case, my brakes also weren't that great because I used my brakes up. and I didn't have money to replace my brakes and the rotors and all that. See the pattern here? So I knew that my brakes weren't going to be good enough in time. And the only option in my head, it was a split-second decision. I had 1 second to make this decision, maybe less. Instead of hitting this 2011 Ford Fusion, where I drove an older Ford Fusion, and I know how those react, and you know, they're kind of flimsy cars in my opinion. I don't know about the 2011s, but at least the older ones were definitely flimsy and falling apart. So I knew right then and there, I trusted my Volvo, I ran off-road. I accelerated to try and I swerved to the left, and I did what I had to do. I, for the most part, missed the kid wasn't hurt. Nobody was hurt. Out of the people in the worst situation was me, technically, because, you know, my next door and everything, I asked them. They seemed okay. You know, the airbags didn't go off in his car. Like, everything, apart from the front bumper being ripped off and, you know, the lights and whatever, which is normal because there's crumple zones. And I just, that's what I hit. That's what his car hit my car hit his car in the right rear. So it's perfect. I swerved just in time. And then I slammed right into the curb and went off-road and, you know, like, I don't know how many feet, 20, 30, 40, 50 feet, whatever. And I laid to rest in front of a house, in front of a lawn. All the curtain airbags went off. The side seat airbags went off. The steering wheel airbag didn't go off. The passenger airbag was off, so that didn't go off. The reason the steering wheel airbag didn't go off was technically it was a side impact, 2 side impacts, and then the curtain airbags. So in my case, it's better if there's a possibility, a small, teeny tiny possibility of this car still being okay and not being fully salvaged and all that total, then the steering wheel would add to damages, right? The curtain airbags you can replace, side airbags, well, the seats need to be replaced, but whatever. The seatbelt definitely needs to be replaced. So I survived. Potentially I was going faster. I don't know how fast I was going because I accelerated. I was accelerating when overtaking, and then I accelerated even further. Split-second decision, didn't hit the brakes to avoid swerving into that car, slammed right into the curb, and my tire was ripped off. The rim was ripped off. The whole wheel was ripped right off the rim. Other tires seemed to be fine. Obviously, well, I'm sure they're popped, but I don't know what happened to the car. Maybe there's frame damage, maybe there's not, but the Volvo did what it had to do. It saved my life. I came out with 0 scratches. I'm only a teeny tiny bit bruised up on the left higher portion of my arm. That's it. Nothing happened. I immediately ran out. I had to get out the airbag, and the airbag was in my way, and I didn't know because I in my head when I was flying, it was like 1 second that I was flying, I thought I'm going to hit the trees because I was right next to the trees, and I could have. I was, feet away from the trees. If I'd hit the trees, it'd be a different story. I think I'd be fine, but maybe a little bit, scratched up, whatever. The car would be in worse shape. It would be a different story. I'd be okay. I'd be alive. I trust Volvo. I've seen Volvos fall under trucks and crazy stuff happen. But the number one thing is everyone was okay in both incidents. In this one, it was a little worse, but everyone was okay. I ran out. People ran out from the park. They checked on me. They checked on the kid. I asked the kid multiple times, hey, is everything okay? It was just everybody's stunned. Everybody's shocked, right? Police came, fire trucks came to shut down the road. Tow truck came to take my car. I mean, it was one of those moments where you really are thankful. I'm thankful to have a Volvo. It saved my life without a doubt. I don't know. Maybe that could have been a crash that would have went completely differently if I was driving a different vehicle, because maybe I would have swerved right into the trees. Physics did help me kind of coast along in straight lines, really, and avoid the trees. But people were stunned to see me run out, essentially, because my only concern right then and there wasn't myself, wasn't my car. It was, is that other person okay? Did I hit that other person? What happened with that person? Once I knew that person was okay, once I saw the condition my car was in and the condition his car was in, yes, the bumper was ripped off, but he didn't have to have a tow truck, no airbags deployed, which maybe wasn't a good thing. I don't know. Maybe the Ford, I don't know. There's some cars that the airbags don't deploy for whatever reason. But at least he was able to drive off with his car. The parents came. Everybody was okay. And then it sucks because I lost my baby. That car meant a lot to me. Once everyone's okay, then it's let's get down to the details. I did get a notice that you can either have a ticket if you admit guilt, because I've never had a ticket in America before, never. And this would be my first ticket if I admitted guilty. You can also go to court, and then there's the option for traffic school where you admit guilt, but you don't get a ticket. And since I have a clean record, everything should be fine. That's what I'm thinking of doing. I don't know. I'm exploring the options, but the ticket's not anything bad. It's like $160 or whatever, and it's a notice for improper lane usage. That's it. I was able to overtake there, but it was bad timing. I should have probably slowed down, but I knew that if I hit the brakes hard, I might have slammed right into that car. And who knows what would have happened, because side impacts can do a lot of damage. I didn't want that to happen. Right then and there, I knew the only option I had was to go right into the trees, potentially. That's how much I trust my car. And yeah, maybe I could have been hurt, and who knows, maybe a different story. And at the right angle, no matter what car you're driving, Volvos are tanks in my opinion, but physics takes over, and if you hit it at the right angle and the right speed, there will be fatalities, there will be, injuries, there will be whatever. But I've seen crash test videos of Volvos rolling over and hitting walls and falling, dropping off of heights and all this crazy stuff that other cars just don't go through that same testing. I've had two Volvos now, a 2007 and a 2015, and I feel incredibly safe. And driving these Volvos, especially if you're purchasing a 24 or 23, they have 5 out of 5 star ratings, both in America and for the European NCAP, for a reason. People just, there's very, very few fatalities with Volvo compared to other brands. They test it. They test for side impacts. They test for, rollovers. They test for, the 3-point seatbelt was invented by them. The the windshield back many decades ago, you'd go into a crash and it would implode in on the passengers and the driver. Now there's multiple layers, so it doesn't fall in. It kind of cracks, but it protects you from the glass just being. So there's boron steel that's on the sides to protect you. That's much stronger than most normal metals. There's a lot of stuff that goes into Volvo technology, and I don't know. Maybe, hope, knock on wood, there's no wood in this rental car, but knock on wood that, I never get into another bad crash again. But if I was to get into a bad crash, I'd want to be in a Volvo, because you never know. In this case, it was, I was overtaking. I probably could have done a lot better decision that day, but there's bad drivers every day, and you can be a good driver and suddenly there's a bad driving moment, or there's weather conditions or something happens, and out of nowhere, boom, a truck hits you, or you hit another car at an intersection, or something happens, or you fall off track, or your wheel doesn't get screwed on properly by the mechanic, and you fall right into the trees. I know that in a Volvo, my chances increase. And I'm starting to sound like a salesman now for Volvo, and that's why I work at Volvo, because I truly believe in these products. I test them. I test them myself. I'm a crash test dummy. We can laugh about it now because no one was hurt, and everything seems to be okay, apart from, the car being totaled and the other car being damaged. But we can do something about it instead of being dead in a coffin, right? That's the number one thing that matters. And these speeds are nothing compared to, people legally driving on the Autobahn every day at 160 miles an hour, 200 miles an hour. Yeah, at a certain speed, the car's going to be toast. But would I be driving a F-150, where F-150, the most popular selling car in America, yes, it's a big car and whatnot, but I've seen F-150s completely crumple. And in crash test videos, some of these cars get completely destroyed. If there's a barrier coming in from, the head, and there's been Volvos that have been tested for these types of impacts. I don't know about this Kia, probably not, but I want to feel safe in this Kia. Yeah, it's a cheap car. It's a good car, good legroom and good headroom. But I look at safety, where this car most likely I wouldn't be doing so hot. That Volvo saved my life. I am grateful for it. I will be eternally grateful. And I just wanted to share my story. All throughout this video, there's going to be photos, there's going to be videos. Number one thing is I'm here today and able to tell my tale, and I'm very emotional to see that car go, but it did its job. because these cars mean a lot to me. You know, they're tested. They're great cars. They're not something that stands out too much, but it has power. It has luxury. It has, first and foremost, safety. They've been tested. They're good quality, well-made cars. So after the crash, after the police said everything was okay and whatnot, I called my employer, and thankfully my GSM was able to pick me up. I went to work. I had a client that was a little bit late because he was supposed to come in at 9. Well, I was a little bit late too, and ironically, he had his car totaled 2 weeks ago, and I texted him, hey, I'm going to be a little late too, and it was like perfect timing. I was late a couple minutes like after him, and he was stunned to see we come in. People were stunned. People that ran out of the parking lot. I mean, they closed the street for a little bit, right? Firefighters were asking me, hey, you know, hospital release forms, should we call the ambulance and whatnot? And maybe I do have a little bit of whiplash, you know, I mean, who knows? My neck is in pain, my entire body's sore, my back, but that's because I tensed up, and you know, you're not prepared for that. There was that 1 second where I was flying through the air, and I was dreaming about it this past night, where I didn't know if I'd hit the trees. I didn't know what would happen. I just knew that I couldn't see outside because the airbags went out. I couldn't even hear the airbags. It was just, it just happened so quick. And maybe I have a concussion. I don't know, probably not, but whiplash potentially because my neck is in pain. But we're gonna be fine. These are normal injuries at those speeds. It's pretty crazy that I'm able to walk out. Everything's all good. The lady whose house I crashed in front of, she's like, you better go to the hospital because, you know, you're gonna feel it the next day. And I did feel it the next day, but it wasn't that bad. I'm feeling a lot better now, and it's pretty crazy. Pretty crazy also how adrenaline feels. I mean, I ran out, and the first thing, is he okay? He's okay, perfect. What happened? And, you know, looking around, and people are staring at me. People ran over from the nearby park. You know, someone's calling the cops. Someone's like, are you okay? You know, is there anybody else in the car? Oh yeah, there was so many airbags up, and nobody knew. And they were like, is there anybody else in the car? So they're trying to open it up, and I was like, no one else is in the car. Everything's fine. My shoes were very muddy because, you know, here's a guy running around in a suit, all muddy now. And, hey, everything's fine. Don't worry about me. You know, nobody else is in the car. I mean, I was very stressed out. In those moments, it was like the sheer panic. Someone described it on Reddit pretty well. How does it feel like being involved in an incident, in a crash? It feels like you just woke up. First of all, if I didn't experience this because I'm not, like, the pain, I didn't feel anything because I'm safe. But if someone gets like rear-ended and you get like for sure whiplash and it gets like really bad, you feel a little bit, but the adrenaline kind of kicks in, and then the pain starts getting worse and worse after like 5-10 minutes. But you feel pain, obviously. You feel shock and the stun factor, where it's kind of like if you have a test in 15 minutes and you just woke up and you know you're not going to make it, like that panic, that fear. That's what you're experiencing, except, you know, it's a different environment, obviously. But that fear, you have it for like 15 minutes, like what's going on? This adrenaline, you know, from your natural instincts, fight or flight reaction, like what is going on? Am I going to die? The body goes into overdrive. It's a very unique, you know, I was like high on adrenaline for the rest of the day. Like I was like, wow. So we live and we learn. And that's the crazy thing. I've overtaken so many times legally, so many times in Poland, in America. I wait till I'm able to overtake. There's no double lines. Boom, boom. And everything was fine. And then one day it's not. You never know. Driving is very unpredictable. Stuff happens. And people are going to be like, well, you know, accidents happen. Parking incidents happen. Yeah. And that's why, you know, it's always good to be in a Volvo. So thankfully I have a late start today, but I came in earlier today because I needed to figure out my situation with my car, and I was finishing up that video, and I get a call from my apartment that, hey, I know I just left the house like 20 minutes ago, but there's a leak coming from your apartment. We need to enter. I'm coming back to the apartment right now. What a great, I mean, this past week has been crazy. So one of my clients said I'm very unlucky because earlier this week there was a fire alarm that went off at work at like 9 p.m. And, you know, me and a client were signing papers, and then, you know, the crash happened, and now a leak is happening at the apartment. It's always something. It's always fun. So I'm nervous. I'm like stressed. Like, what leak? What are you talking about? I don't know. I mean, I left the bathroom like 20 minutes ago. I checked the bathroom multiple times because I thought I left the faucet running, the sink, and nothing was running. And I was like, okay. I don't know. I'm always paranoid about that stuff. Like, I'm OCD. Like, I check the door if I lock the door like 5 times. I check if I left any lights on and whatnot. And I remember specifically. So I don't know. This is weird, but I'm coming. Anyways. Hey, do you need any help with jumping it?
Someone bring me a jumper box since I have to stay with you.
Gotcha. That's it, ladies and gentlemen. I'm saying goodbye to Viola. Thankfully, the wrap that they did on it's a good tow company. They wrapped it. The gentleman was very friendly. You know, no tow company is going to be perfect, so they wrapped it with the plastic and everything's okay. It's muddy a little bit. It's fine. I think there's great potential for someone, if I don't get it, for someone to buy it and repair it. And I want to cry because that car meant so much to me, and I never want to get into a car accident again because it hurts. The car was my baby, so I collected all my things.